Hello, my name is Christian Greason, and this is my Pachachka. This is for the game design 1151-0 section of the course. And alright, let's begin. So this is the overview of my presentation. My thesis is, could Greek and Norse mythology have the same origin? I'm going to start with the creation theory of Greek mythology, move to the creation theory of Norse mythology, then move to the similarities, differences, and finally the conclusion. So in the beginning, there was nothing, just a complete void. Out of that, Tartarus, Eros, and Gaia were born. Tartarus was the underworld ruler. That's where all the dead souls go that are, well, bad. Eros is the shining god of attraction and love. And then there's Mother Earth, Gaia. Gaia ended up giving birth to Uranus. And together, Uranus and Gaia gave birth to 6 sets of twins. Those are what are referred to as the Titans. Out of the Titans, there are 2 that are notable, and those would be Kronos and Rhea. Gaia also ended up giving birth to monsters, Cyclops, and the 100-handed men. Well, Uranus wasn't a good father or husband and really didn't like either one of them, so he ended up throwing those into the underworld. Naturally, throwing her children into the underworld pissed Gaia off. So she asked all of her children to help her exact revenge on Uranus, but only Kronos answered the call. After Uranus was dealt with, he received a prophecy that one of his children would destroy him, so he just decided to eat them all. Rhea didn't like that idea either, so she ended up just feeding him a rock instead of a baby. I guess he couldn't tell the difference. That baby that he didn't eat happened to be Zeus. Zeus grew up and then poisoned Kronos and all of the gods, Kronos ended up vomiting up all of the gods because they're immortal and they don't digest. After Kronos vomited up all of the gods, they raised war with the Titans. Zeus was the one that freed them, so Zeus was the one that was in charge of leading them. Once they won the war with the Titans, they divvied out everything to the gods. Zeus took the sky, Hades took the underworld, and Poseidon took the sea. Out of all of the Titans, Prometheus was the only one that was not involved in the war at all. He is also responsible for crafting humans out of clay. He even went so far as to steal fire from Zeus and give it to the humans, which ended up getting him tortured. That concludes the Greek creation theory. Now I'm going to move on to the Norse creation theory. 2 areas I really want to talk about. The first one is Muspelheim. It's the land where fire and light exist, and it is north of Ginnungagap. Fire giants also exist there, as a side note. The second one is Niflheim. It is a misty, cold, very icy wasteland. Frost giants, that's pretty much where they live. It is also the underworld for Norse mythology. So Ginnungagap is the void in between Muspelheim and Niflheim. It's just a completely black void that has nothing. There were also 8 other areas of the world tree Yggdrasil, but we're just mainly going to be talking about those 2 in the creation theory. So whenever the fires from Muspelheim reached Niflheim, it unthawed a giant called Ymir and a god cow named Audhumla. One thing to note about Ymir is whenever it got warmer and he would sweat, the sweat would then turn into smaller giants, which is, kind of weird. Then the god cow licked the ice and uncovered Buri. Buri ended up marrying one of the sweat giants, and her name was Besla, and then they gave birth to Bor. Bor and Besla then had 3 children: Odin, Ve, and Vili. So Odin ended up looking around and seeing that there were more frost giants than there were gods, and he didn't really like that. Unfortunately, the only solution he could come up with to keep Ymir from producing more giants was to kill Ymir. Once Ymir was dead, Odin and his brothers brought his body to the middle of Midgard and then used the different parts to create, different parts of the world. The blood, or Ymir's blood, became the oceans, his flesh became the earth, his hair became the trees, his eyebrows became the mountains, and his skull became the sky. Once Odin and his brothers sorted out Midgard, they went walking down the seashore and happened to find two tree trunks. They ended up using these tree trunks to fashion the first set of humans, who were named Ask and Embla. And that concludes the Norse creation theory. Some similarities between the two is they both had creation from a void. They had a common all-father, and giants, obviously, both needed a conflict, and humans were made from Earth's materials. So after looking at all the differences between Greek mythology and Norse mythology, I decided to pick these two from each because they're pretty big game changers here. In Greek mythology, gods created the universe and they were also immortal, and while in Norse mythology, the universe was created before the gods and the gods could all die. In conclusion, even though that they had several parts that were very similar, I don't believe that they had the same origins, unfortunately. Norse mythology and Greek mythology just seem to be too different to be based from the same spot. Thanks for watching.